back with another virtual film festival at Serenity Pictures. This is going to be a good one. I'm very excited about this interview. Tonya, how you doing? How have you been this week?
Crazy busy.
We kind of took a week off. Last week we ran into a couple unfortunate situations or events. We had to postpone that show from last week. We are back today, and we got an awesome guest with us tonight. Serenity, what's going on?
Hello,
Hello,
you
you
guys.
guys.
How are you
How are you
doing?
doing?
And
And
welcome
welcome
back.
back.
We're great. We are awesome. She Crypto has just stepped in. Our other co-host, She Crypto, what's going on?
Hey, can you
Hey,
make me
can
the
you make me the
co-host?
co-host?
We
We
have
have back.
Yeah, it's probably because I still have my mic on. Hold on.
make me
Can
co-host.
we
I can
co-host?
run the other software. Hi, Danny. My friend Dan's here.
Hey everybody.
Also, our hi, She Crypto. How are
Good.
you? Hi, Tonya.
And hi.
Actually, Carlos is down there, and Carlos is also part of Serenity and the director of our segment.
What's going on, Carlos?
I gave him the mic.
He has a mic so he can speak. Sweet.
Oh, I hope that was a real grandfather clock in the background there.
That was not, actually it wasn't. It was my cell phone.
Better.
So Serenity Pictures. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. I'd like to start off all our interviews. I like to dive in with our guests, have them tell me how they were inspired and what made them hop into the film industry, starting, as a child or maybe even a teenager. Um, yeah, what inspired you to get into this field of work?
Well,
Well,
first of all,
first of
thank
all,
you
thank
so
you
much
so
for
much for
the
the
space.
space.
It's
It's
wonderful.
wonderful.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
And
much.
having
Hold on,
Having
2
fun.
seconds. Gina, can you unmute your mic?
Yep, got it.
The mic is
Great.
yours.
Thank you, Tonya. Well, thanks again for hosting this amazing space. I'm very excited. We had never had friends with spacesuits, so this is really, really cool. Yeah, actually, you know what? As a filmmaker, I did not have that on my bucket list or wish list for a very long time. I'm a very bloomer. I was a ballerina for that. That was my dream. I wanted to be a prima ballerina, and that's what I pursued for a big part of my life. But I actually became a filmmaker when I was already in my mid-20s. So I was 26 when I made my first short film. So quite late. I know that Carlos was already making his first little Ghostbusters version, Venezuelan version of the Ghostbusters when he was 6 or 7. So he was much younger than I was. But yeah, I think I kind of drifted from being a ballerina to being too old for being a ballerina to becoming a horror author. So that was my first big career. I was a horror author. I wrote philosophical horror novels for a while. And I met my now mentor who worked for Disney back in the days, still in the film industry, but not for Disney. And he read one of my books and said, "Hey, this is really visual. You ever thought about putting on the screen?" And I hadn't. And I thought, I didn't even think about being a filmmaker at that point, to be honest. I said, yeah, I can try that. I don't know. And I had no idea uh, how tricky or how much it took to make a movie. So my first short film was rather I just went full on in. I got an impossible location with a massive cast and fights with real muskets at night. They were obviously not loaded, but there were real props, like real weapons. And yeah, made the whole crew run away from baby piglets and baby hogs in the forest. So that was my first idea of what it really takes to make even just a short film. And from that, it was really drifting off into music video, documentaries, mostly diving, underwater, wildlife documentaries, until I met Carlos. And I think Carlos and I and Ivo, who's also part of it, we made a short film together, and I think it was only my second or third fictional work up to this point as a filmmaker. So it was really interesting.
Incredible. Wow. Ballerina. I've never met anyone that was that actual ballerina or pursued that, you know, film of artistry. But my mother used to want it to be a ballerina when she was a child. I remember her telling me about that, but that's the only person I've ever met that was actual ballerina or had ambitions of being a ballerina. So, wow, that's awesome. So it seems like Clay's Redemption. Um, this is your first NFT film, or is this the NFT project?
No, it isn't. It's actually our second movie. Well, the thing is, we made Clay prior to Toxica. So Clay was Carlos's directorial feature film debut. So he made that. And 2 years later, after Clay was completely finished and almost sold back in the days, um, we made Toxica. So Toxica is our second made feature. That is my directorial feature film debut. But we minted Toxica first because was more of a broader genre. And we also thought a little bit that because Clay is a very, very unique, very precious movie, Toxica was something that animates audiences that like adventure and action and Lovecraftian horror or body horror in general, horror films. So yeah, we thought, it wasn't released. We had offers, but we didn't want to accept them because they were not what we wanted for our movie. So we decided to go completely new way with Toxica and try something new. Just seeing how far we can come with NFTs and learned what that is, and went down that rabbit hole and haven't regretted it since. And with Clay was released on streaming, but we decided to go a different route with that one as well. Carlos can tell you much more about the why, so I don't want to take that away from him, really. But yeah, Clay is now our second feature film as an NFT you can mint.
Awesome.
The trailer looks very unique, by the way. I see you have two different versions, the neon and the noir. But She Crypto, you had something to say?
Yeah. I just okay, so I've tapped into a couple of spaces with you guys, and I don't really necessarily know really what the movies are about and like how were you guys, what was the inspiration or inspo for it. So for everybody that's listening, I feel like we would love to hear like what do the movies mean to you, what they're about and things like that. What do people what can we expect when we watch these movies?
Oh man, I'm so glad you asked that. It's one of the rarest questions we are asked, because it is just usually not about the story much, right? But thank you so much for asking that. I'm very excited for this. So Toxica is is an action adventure horror film. It has elements of the Lovecraftian, of body horror, of plant horror, eco horror. So it is really something like Indiana Jones in Lovecraft Land. It's a bit nuts, but it is a movie genre I personally like to watch. I'm a big fan of the 1990s version of The Mummy. I like Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, and I like The Relic, a rather lesser known creature feature. And I love everything to do with body horror, body transformation. And it's very 1990s. It has that little 90s vibe all over it, because I love movies from that era. They were so crazy and funky, and I just love them, and just fun, escapism. And Toxica is very much that. It has a lot of action scenes. It is about a young stunt woman who can't work in her profession anymore because reasons. And she doesn't really have friends. She tries to reach out to her mom but doesn't pick up the phone, so she's basically really alone. She doesn't really know what to do. She's like a drifter in a 1990s gothic world. And her name is Augusta, and at some point she has to take a really dodgy job she doesn't want to take, and because she's also broke on top of everything. And at some point she says, "Yeah, I'm gonna take it, to hell with it." And she does, and she gets on the job infected by a cosmic and rather mythological compound. There's something in this house that she investigates that might not be from this earth, or even from this realm we live in. And slowly but surely her mind and her body begins to change. And she's also followed by shadowy, like dark figures that for some reason suddenly want to catch a hold of her. So she's really on the run while she transforms, and she has a limited amount of time where she can, escape that fate. What does she want to do? So Augusta was an interesting character because she was actually written for a male. I wanted to work with a very specific actor who could not, sadly, commit to a very long process of filming. So at the same time, he turned me down. An actress came in we had worked with before on Carlos's film in a very small role, to be honest. And she came in, she said, "I need an opportunity. I need stage fight. I need combat. I need action. I need something where I can change my accent from British to whatever." And I said to her, "Well, I don't have time to change anything about my character. I changed the name, but if you want, you can read the script." And I hadn't changed anything about the lead. And she just managed to transform the character into her own. She took on an American accent, and she had the same acting coach as or accent coach as Tom Holland, Spider-Man. So she really wanted to try this, and she did. She literally just had it. It wasn't even written for her, and it showed me as a writer and director that I had done a good job in writing a solid character that isn't defined by one thing or another, but it's just an intriguing character that might intrigue you. It might take you on a journey and you actually invested in it and you worry for her or him. So Augusta was born, and at some point throughout the story we checked out our dailies and we were halfway through the film, and Carlos said, "This is like a Poison Ivy story." And we realized that halfway through it kind of turned into a anti-hero becomes meta-human, and it would fit perfectly in Matt Reeves' world of the Batman, actually. I mean, I have a very different style, but mine is also slightly gothic with, certain color palettes and everything. So yeah, it would be perfect. And with Clay, it was basically Carlos wanted to make a movie about also a drifter, a man who doesn't belong really, and in an alternate universe, in a cyber fantasy world where you have old gods and demons lingering, and a man who is a convict who has to work his time off, and has to serve the gods. And that was an intriguing story. And I said, I'm gonna be on board for whatever you need me. And Carlos wrote and directed this. He wrote it together with Ivo, while I was in charge of making costumes and partial set design. So that was really, really interesting for me to create backstories for characters that didn't tell their backstory on screen, but still you see them and you know immediately who they are and what makes them who they are. And Carlos has done a marvelous job capturing a John Carpenterish sort of like vibe, but in his very own way. Yeah, and just takes you out of a world you think you know and into a world that is the same but not. And I think that is very difficult to do. And I think he really mastered that perfectly.
Wow. I really like to hear people's, inspiration. And okay, so for Toxica, let me get this right. Did you okay, who was the director for this again? Was it Carlos or was it you?
I'm the writer director of Toxica, and Carlos is writer director of Clay.
Gotcha. Awesome. Because I thought that was how it was, because I did tap into a space and listen for a while, and I thought that was what it was. Danny, did you have something that you wanted to say? You did amazing. From what I could see, you did a amazing job.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah, Danny, you got it. Did you want to say something?
Is this mic working?
Can't really hear you, Danny. You may need to get off and then get back on. Sometimes
He's speechless. No, he's my friend. You might have to just let the microphone from your settings. There you go. Maybe you got it. Or you have to update your app, the Twitter app. If you have an Android, the Twitter app is being updated. I had a problem like that earlier. There you go. Hey, Dan.
Yes, well, because I'm using BlueStacks, that's probably the dilemma. Yes, just very quick question. Well, you obviously got me at Lovecraftian lore. So is it kind of a aspect of Lovecraftian lore, so about the old gods and everything else like that, and not physically the Lovecraftian storylines and everything? And also, are you trying to implement also kind of parts? So trying to mesh, because from what I hear, it's somewhat two movies. Are you going to try and mesh them together and expand on kind of the lore?
Oh, this is a great question, Danny. You know what? I would say it is. You know what the inspiration was for the body horror effects for Toxica? You might not know it at all. I think one inspiration is better known, which is obviously the remake of the Body Snatchers with Donald Sutherland. That was something I loved, and I watched, as a reference to see, well, how did they do it? How do you film something like this? And well, it's not like filming drama or so. And then I watched an episode of The X-Files. So at the time, I was rewatching with Buffy for the fifth time, but then I watched The X-Files again, and there was an older episode. I think it was season 4, if I remember. I think episode 11, where they discover corpses that have been partially taken over by moss and mushrooms and flowers. And
Yes.
it reminded me, yes, you're right. And I loved it. I thought, oh, that is even better than Body Snatchers, to be honest, because I can do that on a budget, right? Because Toxica and Clay are self-funded movies. We didn't have big studio budget for these. So we had to reverse engineer, be creative, work on plan C, D, and D. So with Toxica, I was like, okay, what can I get to make this look as good as possible for what I have? And those were the inspirations. I actually, you know what, I would have loved to make a full body transformation for Augusta. Unfortunately, we couldn't do that because we didn't have the budget. But I think how we've ended her transformation is pretty damn cool as well. And the Lovecraftian thing, I think I was rather going with Color Out of Space than Elder Gods. I love the Elder Gods, but I wouldn't dare taking them on without the budget I need, and make it look amazing, right? You have to honor the elder gods. But in Toxica it was more like, like plant horror, like body horror, in terms of Lovecraft would do this in a different way. He would, like in Annihilation was very inspired by Lovecraft, and how do you merge people and plants. There's another movie called The Freak Maker from the 70s, where Donald Pleasence also transforms humans into plants and the other way around, which is rather, crazy. But yeah, that was basically my inspiration.
I do like that you talked about Annihilation, because it's an alien kind of entity, or a alien kind of micro. Um, how hard to explain it? An alien microbe that made or took a specific location and integrated with its own kind of evolution. So anything that would be inside the location itself would evolve, but with those microscopic type of how can I explain? Yeah, microscopic type of alien entities at that point. It's highly interesting.
Yeah, it's really working with genetics. What if plant could not only merge with plant, but what if you could really merge it with humans, with animals? Annihilation, the bear scene will haunt me forever. You probably as well. But I think the Toxic was more, something is found in the Indonesian jungle in the beginning of the movie, and time passes, and in that time things happen, and what remains is that flower that is ancient and mysterious, yes, but also not be quite from this planet. It might be from somewhere else. And I think the obscurity about this is really intriguing, because we never really find out. The thing is, there's so much in the background. I'm a detail fanatic, right? I love simple plot lines, straightforward, but a lot in the background. So the more you want to find out about the legend and lore in Toxica, the more you will find out when you watch in the background. So there are a lot of little hints of what is it really she's infected by, and what did the professor find in Indonesia as well.
Awesome. I'm a fan of details. The details make the bigger picture. If anybody wants to come up and speak or say anything, please request and we will do so. This is a communal space and we like to mix it up because everybody's opinions and thoughts count. Danny, do you have something to say?
Yes, I don't want to take the whole group. I do like that the details are there, but then you still can kind of add your kind of concept to it, but it's maybe not equal to the storyline or the producer's ideas of it. So you can still kind of have that leeway of having, okay, so this is happening and this is what I think. It's maybe not the same as the creator's ideal of it, but at least it's giving you opportunities of having different types of, let's say, details at that point.
Seriously, if you give the same script to 5 different directors, you have 5 completely different movies. What I had in my head, and as a director, you're basically the only person who has the entire movie mapped out in your head. No one else does that. Maybe the writer, but as a director, this for one, it's your job, and then it's just fun. Have your story and you edit in your head while you shoot. Basically, at least Carlos and I do that, because we're both editing as well. Carlos more than I. But I know what I want to say, what I want. And I think what is really interesting, you have these ideas and references, and you have to give your crew little ideas and little references, otherwise they don't know at all where you're going. But then I have a very distinct look. I think I already found my style quite well in terms of visuals. And I think, what you have in your head, what you have on your page, what your crew thinks you have in your head and on your page, you shoot like in principle photography are 4 completely different things. And to be honest with you guys, when I saw Toxica the first time, a rough cut, it was Carlos made a rough cut because we finished shooting 3 days before the first lockdown. So we had an entire lockdown, entire pandemic to finish the film and look for, contracts, everything. So when I saw it, I cried because it was not at all the movie I wanted to make at all. Like nothing was the way I wanted it to be. And I knew that we were running on plan B, C, and D, everything went wrong. Like there's nothing I planned out as it was. And everything went constantly wrong. And at some point I said, okay, I have to see what I'm making out of the stuff I shot, and Carlos's job was to also keep track of that. And I think that was interesting to see the movie come together in a rough cut, then with effects, with color grading, then suddenly sound design and score. And then it was much closer to what I wanted. But also you have budget restrictions, but that's only a small excuse because you could still, create something remarkable without much money. But yeah, it was interesting to see it all come together. And I hadn't been through that process before. That was the first time I've ever been through such a process of filmmaking. I made music videos and documentary before. That's not the same thing. So it was, a little bit heartbreaking, but also very happy to see the movie come together.
I'm extremely happy for you. I definitely can empathize and sympathize with you. And it's just good to stay in the fight. I see wants to say something. And
hold on, She Crypto. I want to also get Carlos up in here to talk about the Clay's redemption. This we got his mic.
Sure.
What's going on, Carlos?
Hey, man.
So
So I
you,
think
you
your
you're
mic
the
is on.
I'm sorry.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Carlos, and I'm the director of Clay's Redemption. I producer of Toxica and the editor of both. And just to give you a little bit of background, I need to talk to you. I was working on another feature film before Clay's Redemption, and it was called Welcome to Couple Life. And I was working on the script things since 2013, for 5 years. Then I met Ivo, which is my current producer, and we worked on the script for another 3 years, and it was ready. And we were gonna go to the traditional route of finding producer, finding investors, and producer, you need equity money to we can bring back, and so on and so on and so on. And that sort of process, it was driving me nuts. And I'm sure like any filmmaker here will know what I mean. It's like when you want just to create and you want to just make your film, and then you go through whole hoops and so on. So I go sort of desperate, and then I just go Black Magic Pocket camera, and I bought a lens in eBay for $12. It was a CCTV lens, the ones they use in those cameras at night. So I adapted it to the Black Magic Pocket because it's sort of they're very good in lighting at night, to shoot at night. And then when I start shooting Clay, blah blah. Basically I just reverse engineer, like Rona was saying, like I just told people, look, I'm doing this, I know you want to work with me for a long time. At the moment I just can pay locations and use my credit card to pay food and travel and everything, but this is what it is. This is what I'm doing. And at the time, you have a name. Just call it a weekend project. Just because I need to just create something. And then I said, well, this is going to be like the day. I'm that generation where I used to go to video stores and just grab the cover of VCR. The sort of wonderful B movies in the 80s, which is called like a good cover, and then you don't even see a trailer or anything. You just grab it and and you have to get it back in 3 days. Rewind if you're not, if you want to be kind. so yeah, so I said, okay, this is gonna be like a B movie, and it's gonna be like at the time I called it a carpenter film. Just go for the carpenter, which is quite economical, very visually striking, but you know, effect is what I do. We don't want to get too artistic in that respect. And so I hammered not a script, but like a beat sheet, like you know, the scenes I wanted to do, and then every time I sort of secure a location or just film guerrilla style in the street of London, I just wrote the script the day before. At the beginning, the actors hated me for that because you know they wanted the script for many times. When they go into the process because I involve them a lot into the process of each character. I wanted to have a very colorful character for each, so all of them sort of helped me to sort of influence the script of their own dialogues. And initially, I didn't want to. I wanted to do a silent film, like no silent, like it's no sound, but the main characters don't speak. It's like there's no dialogue. Because I thought it was going to be easier for me to edit later. I don't need to, you know, do any setups or dubbing. But then that proved nearly impossible. So I said, okay, minimum dialogue then. So I based the main character Clay of harmonica, played by Charles Bronson in Upon a Time in the West, and the driver, played by Ryan Gosling, Drive. So minimum dialogue, you know, but more sort of, I guess, more maybe I cannot say I cannot like expressive, you know. And just at the moment, so basically, just want to say, like, being the blockchain, being Cardano is the only time allowed me to do this the new version, with doing the special version, which is a noir version. And it's because although I shot myself, shot Clay myself, and as I think I prefer, it was filmed in color. At the time I was writing, I was experimenting because it was I base everything. You know, Glaze has a very like across the blacks, so it's very noir, very noir, as well based on the Mac Mignola's Hellboy sort of illustrations. And I thought it would be really looking good in black and white. I really, because I'm very into the killing and Gilda, all those wonderful noir, the way it looks. And so I flirted with the idea to just release in black and white, but then you know, just we cannot afford it. Really, it's just impossible to do that. And so this is like, now I'm free to do it. So yeah, that's just my yeah. We're still working on it because it's not just putting like a black and white filter. You have to upgrade everything from scratch because everything was light in color and sometimes different, especially if it's like the dual color in one scene, or is it one color sometimes in one scene. So you have to make sure you get the lighting right, the grading right. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, but very, very rewarding.
That's amazing. I'm gonna actually go and let Geno take it from this, but I really want Brent to speak because every room that we're in, he always comes up to speak, and I don't think I've ever heard him speak. So Brent, please take it away if you have something that you want to say.
I just want to say that this film sounds incredible, but I wonder where we can view the film.
That's an amazing question. Well, anybody want? Are you talking about Toxica, or are you talking about Clay, or both?
Both.
Rona, you
Hey,
wanna?
Brand. Carlos, you want to take this one?
No, you shall take.
I do it. Hey, Brand. Well, you can actually mint both of those movies full length on our Discord, on our oh God, I forgot the name, Cardano, on our account. Jesus. So yeah, if you go on
Well,
Red NFTs or with us, yes.
no, not yet. Clay is gonna be releasing the 18th of 17th of September.
Yes, no, Toxica is already out. You can mint that one straight away. That's a full feature as an NFT, actually. It does come with an extra link just in case you have a big ass screen at home and you need to fill it. Then you can watch it with that one. But usually, if you have your wallet, you open it and you click on the NFT and it plays. And Clay is now minting a trailer, so a black and white and a neon trailer. But the movie is coming mid-September.
Thank you. And I just want to say hi to Tonya.
Hi, friends. I'm back here doing research, so I'm going to ask my questions in a few minutes. You don't have a speech bubble on this space, so on the because usually I've been adding the links to your website and everything in the actor space on Starseed's Twitter page. So when you get a chance, you can look at it. I just because I Clay's me. You know what? I remember this movie actually because I'm obsessed with the cyberpunk, especially the skins. Because I'm
No way.
yeah, because I'm like Altered Carbon from Netflix. I'm obsessed with that. So that's and then I love the '90s movies and the different crazy just I don't know, just looking at it through why I'm researching. Just you gave me a lot of nostalgia. So
I
Too
feel
right.
that the '90s was the best year for everything, Tonya.
and I think that's why they say the '90s are back.
Hell yes.
Thank you, Brent. But I think go ahead, Geno.
So in the NFT film space, what is your opinion of this whole thing? Where do you guys see it going within the next few years? It's quite new. People are jumping in feet first. And do you want most of your films to be available as NFTs, or is this kind of like experimental with what you guys are doing?
That's a good. And when okay, I cannot hear my voice anymore. Good. Okay, we actually we went head first of all, because we I think if Pumpkin mentioned, when we finished literally within the pandemic and the lockdown here in England, so we have a feature film where we didn't know where to go. So we, at the time, I remember the streaming service was bombarded by so many films, and some of them by even pre-production, but for a quick buck. So the way the quality was a little bit questionable, and even this is big production, even the indie films I'm talking about. So we first to just send that in the ocean of films and get lost. And so we had the actual we were fortunate to offer to the blockchain app just the first sort of unwatchable or unreleased feature film, and then we actually for the magic of retro NFTs, the guys who help us, the blockchain engineers, to put it actually as NFT, like the whole length of the film as NFT, so you can watch it there. Although I still recommend it to watch in 4K, and you still have a link to do when you get NFT. So we came swinging, man. We didn't know, we knew we had an amazing product, if you know what I mean. We knew the goal, because we have this thing we want to people to watch and to have, and how we can just bring the utility to this film. So we brought, like, that's why we even on Discord, if you are a holder, you get a multipass badge, and people know reference of that. And with a multipass, you get a VIP entrance, so a channel where we actually have live streams with the cast and crew and other filmmakers we know. We have more exclusive content, more behind the scenes, and a little bit, and obviously holders know a little bit of the news before than other people. So we wanted to bring more on that. Now, the future of this is still it feels like it's still very new. It still feels like it's a little bit more resistance, especially for all the filmmakers, because it's a new thing. especially filmmakers. So at, the way I see it, I think it sort of integration of sort of the NFT and the sort of the more standard release, but obviously the system it is now is, especially in both, it's not quite there yet, but we're still here, we're still creating, we actually working on a third production, like brand new, actually writing the script right now. We might do casting in the next few weeks, and depends if we have any time to sleep at some point. um, but yeah, so we're gonna still creating, I mean, and the good thing is I think we learn a lot when we release Toxica. So with Claire we're gonna be a little bit more exclusive and a little bit more limited. And what we're gonna do as well, which I'm really proud and really looking forward, we're gonna release of PFPs in October, based on the cast of 5 main characters of the film, and we're gonna cut a percentage to each of the actors of these characters, because I mean, although some of them are doing really well right now, and some of them obviously are still locked down, probably find a little bit harder. It's a bit tougher to get jobs and that. So we want to really support them, because after you working with those people for 2 years and sometimes seeing them every day, you actually get, you bond together. You be actually, some of them becomes your sort of closest friends. So yeah. So I don't know if that's answer your question.
Awesome. And one more question before I let Danny speak. You guys were you guys able to mint the entire length of the film? Because I know people a few months ago were having problems uploading their whole entire film as an
Yeah.
NFT.
Yes, we did it. We did the whole film, and that was a lot of work. I mean, we got that questions a lot of times, and I have to. I work with the guys from Retro NFT, it's Terry and Nathan, and they're super patient as well, because obviously that's, we came and say, okay, we want this. And they would say, well, that's a little bit difficult, because why don't you get a ticket or like a sort of image and people can download the film? I said, no, we want the film there. I don't know how, let's figure it out together. So we went a lot back and forth, me exporting like 10 different versions of each format to see which one worked better. And we figured it out. So yeah, so it was, yeah, so we go like 1988 minutes, I believe, and they look pretty decent actually. And I got some people telling me, oh, I love Toxic everything, and yeah, and I'm watching it in the Pool PM website. It's like, why? We gave you a specific link. When you go NFT, you can link it to Toxic and download a 4K version. Watch it there. It's way better than the Pool PM. But some people seem fine with it, so I'm proud of that achievement. But please, if you get it, just get a 4K. Just download it. It just looks better. Come on.
And I even think it deserves it, because I think these kind of movies are made for a bigger screen. It's really a lot of detail in the background. There's a very meticulously tailored sound design and score and everything in both movies, by the way. So I think it just benefits the audience more when you watch it properly.
And the glass has,
Awesome.
so that's amazing when you have good glass.
Oh, absolutely. It's priceless. Really, it is so valuable.
Danny?
Yes. That's actually pretty interesting to use a certain amount of NFT space to even implement the 4K resolution. But I'm gonna kind of go back with Carlos was talking about. He kind of wanted to have it subtitled. That would be highly interesting, and in black and white, because I just added the Call of Cthulhu, I don't know, Lovecraftian, Call of Cthulhu trailer, and he did implement a very decent quality with black and white and subtitles, and that could actually help a lot for implementation of 4K and everything else like that too. And Carlos, Senor, hombre, try it
Dígalo.
out, man. You're gonna love it. You're gonna. I'm sure it's gonna be less of a hassle because it's gonna be lack of audio. You can just probably do background audio instead of, let's say, the actors itself. Probably the
It,
actors are not
it
gonna be
doesn't work.
happy. It does not work at all. Even if
No, I've tried it. I did try it,
oh,
honestly. But what we have is we managed to. I mean, I'm still working on the grading. I mean, the film needs to be ready by 3 weeks or less than 3 weeks, but still, it's a lot of work. But I managed to go to a point that I'm really happy how it looks. But what I did is we have Clay translated in 6 different languages, I believe. I think it's Japanese, Polish, German, Spanish, Spanish American, Spanish European, and Italian. Yeah, and French.
no Portuguese, no Portuguese.
No, no, not yet. Oh God, man. I recovered, but you understand the Spanish, right?
See, I'm Portuguese, so we're in the same family in a way in Latin language.
Exactly. But okay, I get to work on the Portuguese, but yeah, it's a constant. I think for it's a 24/7. It feels like a 24/7 work, but it's fine. I mean, that's the only thing that keeps you a little bit standing. Like you're working on something you really passionate about, and it sounds cliche, but it's the only way you can be this resilience. Because I got more gray hair, put it this way, since I started these films.
Multiple gray hairs, sir. Mr. Salt and Pepper.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
So I want to ask you guys another question. A question: will you be tokenizing? Because you were making all these different projects. I'm sure you're gonna make more projects. And it just makes more sense for you to tokenize it so that you can have your followers to maybe get the first, because the whole idea to own a token of something, and really, if you think about it, it's a secondary market. That's where the tokens get really valuable, because especially if you're creating so many different projects. Are you looking at that? Because I shared your roadmap, but I didn't see token.
With talking, you mean like the PFPs?
Yeah, like tokenize, like a lot of the projects that I've sat in and worked with, and I'm not an NFT artist. I'm more like a marketer, promo PR girl. So I realized like different projects, you provide a token so that you can, in real life events, some people love that kind of stuff, to be able to go see a film, even though yes, they can mint it and buy it, and it's all virtual and stuff, but there's this thing about when you are able to meet and sit and talk, and maybe we can do it in a metaverse, but to tokenize it where somebody gets a token of your coin, Serenity Pictures coin.
Tonya, I'm so sorry. That's awesome because they can tokenize clips of the movie itself. It could be just 3-second clips, and they just add it into a kind of GIF action. And okay, I'm gonna shut up.
No,
Exactly. See,
that was a great
Dan, oh my
idea.
God, Dan and I have like on the same wavelength.
Guys, Tonya, Danny, please bring it on. Look, we cannot pretend we know more than we know, because we actually come from a filmmaker background, but we're still very green in the blockchain. So any ideas? I mean, your ideas are excellent. We try to actually bring the utilities onto the NFT itself to make a screening. And we were trying to talk about the screening, not even here in England, but I thought, oh, someone has a screen over the Atlantic. But then the bear market sort of just ruined a little bit of our plans. I mean, obviously we didn't rock because we're still working ourselves, but it's definitely stopped many of our plans, especially those the budget for a screening in over there and here. So that was like a little bit of a shame, but we still, yes, but that's a great
Have you
idea.
spoken to the guys from Cardano? Because I remember when they launched. I mean, last year when they launched their their blockchain, I remember how they were like. I actually was trying to partner with them because I wanted to, because I'm a live streamer. I've been doing this since 2010. So I wanted to see. I was trying to get a hold of them. It was really hard. But since you are already on the blockchain and you're already marketing it, you should try to do it like what they call it, co-branding with you.
Well, I think Pumpkin can tell you a lot more about it because she's been in constant sort of trying to almost raise my hand to I don't know, and a lot of people we've been trying to tell them, but I think they're still. I think I mentioned before, Pumpkin mentioned before, they're still not too sure about films yet. So the Cardano community, the community itself, is being really welcoming. But just put it that way, like the integration with the heads of Cardano is being a little bit of a challenge there. But
Carlos. The only thing I could tell you is just that if you integrate yourself with any type of, let's say, company, I'm going to say blockchain, whatever currency company, keep at least 51% owned by you, minimum.
totally.
Because I like Cardano. I do like certain things about Cardano, about the AI and everything else
But
like that. But Carlito, 51% owned by you, sir.
No, I don't. I'm not trying to tell you to like get them to buy into or anything. I'm telling you to like have their brand, have them to say this is because if you, to make something out, you got to have like like a sponsorship type of program or have
You
them
need
like promote
marketers,
you.
yes. You need people that's marketing because they like what you're offering and expand it at that point. So even if it would be just community based, because it could be, let's say, what's a word that when there's an old movie, cult classics, but it could be recent classics. It could be for a few weeks and everything else like that, and you have a community that's backing up your concepts, your movies, because it's actually pretty interesting. I would love to watch them actually. And I'm sorry again for interrupting.
No,
but
no, and you know what? Also, your project is the first one that I've seen. Like again, I've been sitting in NFT for since February of last year. I just sit around and watch and listen to everyone's projects, but I've never seen choices. Meaning you can mint in black and white NOIR trailer or mint in neon. That is really cool. That's very none of the Film 3. I don't know. I think She Crypto and Geno. I don't think nobody's doing this right now. I haven't seen any.
it's being
I haven't seen any either.
it's been like the fortunate to be in the blockchain. That's the only thing. That's actually the mean to Toxic allow us to do this. Otherwise, which wouldn't have there any resources to do it because, like I say, it's almost grading. It's been taking months to do it. Because it's a new grading, but and I'm comparing every time I get a sort of getting by by Kubrick now by Kubrick and sort of taking screenshots and to make sure it's sort of like it looks the same that it looked at the time. So I want people to actually believe it's a noir film because it, we I just gonna actually go a shout out to Karen down there and Sombri and Cabin. And Sombri Cabin will be if has been our sort of OG supporters from the beginning, and they've been amazing. And so shout out to them. Yeah. Hi guys.
The blockchain and this Web3 space, it's new, but once we figure it out, I think we're going to be able to take our artwork and our platforms to new levels. So yeah, I think what you're doing, you guys are doing is incredible, man. And I thank you guys for coming onto our platform. I watched the trailer for Clay's Redemption, and I was blown away. I was like, we got to get these guys on here as soon as possible.
Mike is yours, Captain.
I was gonna say thanks to Tonya and Danny to for actually those those suggestions that just wrote it down right now as I was speaking to you. Like I said, as we still sort of want to learn really and sort of anything we can, in terms of to integrate better into the blockchain.
No doubt, man. That's how it works. like I said, this is a new space for everybody. So, if we know something that can help someone else out, you know, give them that info.
So I gave the mic to Cabin Key. Cabin Key, did you want to share?
Hello, everybody in this space. So I am just jumping up to the mic to say hello, my friends, my fellow filmmakers, all the love in the world to you. I am definitely a part of their community. So everything you're speaking to, we are here. We are in full force, very supportive of the community. So I wanted to raise my voice to that. And then I also very much want to say that it is I'm going to say it, guys. So ready for your laughing emojis because those in the group will know what I'm about to say. First ever feature film history making on the blockchain. So I make sure that in every space possible, we always say that. They truly made history as a first feature film on the blockchain. I'm very proud to call them my friends, fellow filmmakers, and we are in this space for the long haul. So love you all.
Awesome, man. That's what's up. Serenity?
Yeah, I think what is important to mention is that Cardano did give us the option to build new technology on top of Hoskinson's technology. So there was already something there, like a foundation, and Retro NFTs basically figured out a way of doing something that wasn't really possible in the exact way we wanted on other blockchains, because we did research for months. Or rather, I was listening in spaces. I figured out how are these communities, what do they value, what is important to them, and who has which technology. That all the blockchains have their advantages, but none of them had all the advantages we were looking for. And in Cardano, we were as close as possible, to that. And after a couple of months, Retro NFTs did what we thought was impossible. And we already had our old contracts and offers ready because we got a shit ton of sorry for my French. We got a lot of offers from studios for streaming, and sales agents for Toxica. It wasn't that they didn't want it, but it was just really the offers. And I think that was a very lucky and fate probably played a part in it. Move to find out about Cardano at all, out of being frustrated and going drinking and dancing once the lockdown had eased, and meeting the right people at the right time, and just saying, hey, I can sign these contracts tomorrow, it doesn't matter, so let's go crazy tonight. And you know what, it's I want to mention one more thing, because I think there is still a few inside of filmmakers who do not know what NFTs are. I mean, we have Karen down there, and Jeremy, and Julian was here earlier. So these guys, these are filmmakers who really have been on Ethereum before Cardano had filmmakers on their own blockchain. But they were basically some of the first ones coming in there and saying, hey, let's try this. And the thing is, there's a lot of fear out there. A lot of filmmakers are scared or laugh about it when you say, oh, I'm combining NFTs with film. And usually they stop laughing when you say, yeah, but I also made my budget back, while you are still on it for the next 7 years and mortgage your house. But, you know, the thing is, we have made a documentary about it, very briefly explaining what are NFTs and why should you consider them as a filmmaker for Sitges Film Festival, which is like a very popular indie film festival for horror and fantasy, or rather a festival for indie horror and indie fantasy films. And they came to us, they asked us if we want to tell our story. And I think that will hopefully might push the envelope a little bit towards filmmakers who are not involved in NFTs and say, look, we've done it. You can do it in different ways. You can go on Ethereum and use their technology. You can go on Cardano and use their technology. I mean, all of us have opened the gates, and have started paving the path on Ethereum, on Solana, on Cardano. So in the end of the day, you don't even have to do the heavy lifting anymore, because we've already done it. We've opened it up, and you just have to walk through the gate and see where you're going. And I think that is something very important to mention, because it might, take away a little bit of a barrier for our peers in the film industry, especially for indie filmmakers.
Awesome. And you guys are definitely paving the way. All right, it's 9 o'clock. At this time, what I like to do, for every virtual film festival, I like to give out the golden ticket. So I give the golden ticket to all of our guests, and you are now in the Hall of Starseed Film and Music Hall of Fame, and we appreciate you guys for coming and talking to us for an hour. And anytime you guys want to come back and promote a film, you are more than welcome to come and do. I can't talk. You're more than welcome to do so. I wish you guys the best. I'm so excited to watch Clay's Redemption. And yeah, appreciate you guys. We're gonna get you guys that ticket after this. I'll post it. And yeah, just much respect to you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you guys for coming
Golden ticket.
out.
Thank you, everybody.
See you next week.
Thank you so
Same
much.
time.
I gotta
Same
go.
place.
Yes, exactly what I had in my head right now. Thank you, She Crypto. Thank you, Tonya. Thank you, Starseed.
No doubt. No